Hello, Danny here, once again to present my second Word on the Street video. This week, I will be covering Publics and CounterPublics, as discussed in Unit 2, Public Discourse and Advocacy. Let's start off by defining each. Afterwards, we can start looking at some examples. So what exactly does public mean in this context? Well, according to the in-class discussion and the online journal by Warner, we have the public and then we have apublic. The public refers to social totality or people in general. This is essentially an approach to thinking that locates phenomena as wider social structure and historical context. A public is when there is a concrete audience that is bound by an event or physical space. Warner further explains a public by describing it as a space of discourse organized by nothing other than discourse itself. It is autotelic. It exists only as the end for which books are published, shows broadcast, websites posted, speeches delivered, opinions produced. It exists by virtue of being addressed. Then we have CounterPublics. These exist in opposition to the dominant public in terms of content and modes of addressing. According to Warner, a counterpublic maintains at some level, conscious or not, an awareness of its subordinate status. They are structured by different dispositions or protocols from those that obtain elsewhere in the culture, making different assumptions about what can be said or what goes without saying. Now that we have a better understanding of these terms, here are some examples. Starting with the public, this idea is mostly seen when someone in politics is addressing the entire nation, as they are speaking to all of us collectively. Such as when Trump spoke out regarding the shutdown of the government and how the Democrats were denying the funding for border security. After 36 days, Trump informs us that he and the Democrats have reached a deal to reopen the government and allow the workers to receive pay regarding hours missed. Next, an example of a public. I believe a public will consist of Towson University students. As students, we are a public in the sense we are bound together in the space of the university. There is online material that is directed to us alone and that is not accessible to the outside world. We also receive letters from the president of the school that is received by all students regardless of year or age. An example of a counterpublic in my own life came to me after reading one of Warner's examples regarding gays or queers being a counterpublic. So from 2007 to 2011, I attended Calvert Hall, where by the end, most of us were cool with one another. There were a few people I spoke with regularly that were at the time in the closet. As far as most of us other students knew, most of us had no idea they were gay until we started seeing social media posts at least 6 years after graduation. So while we didn't know they were gay, they could have been open with a separate public outside of us graduates. So while we didn't know they could have been afraid to come out sooner since it was an all-guy school. And at the time, society wasn't as accepting as it is now. In addition to it being a Catholic school, we didn't learn much of being mindful of those with different sexual orientations. So that's all I have to say about Publics and CounterPublics. Be ready for the next one.